At my wife's anniversary gala, Mom accidentally flipped the $1,000 drone cake, gasping, "Oops, but your brother's boys deserve real milestones." Dad laughed. "You never sacrifice for family." I opened my brother's gift, an expired children's book. I canceled the $12,000 safari, sold the motorcycle, froze the accounts. That night, Mom texted, "Our tickets are gone." I replied, "Maybe your golden son can book new ones." I should have known something was going to go wrong the second my mother asked if the cake was just for show. My name's Daniel. I'm 41 years old, live in Burbank, California, and I work as an aerospace systems engineer. I build things that fly 10 times the speed of sound. But on the night of our daughter Lily's 10th birthday, at the gala I organized to also celebrate our anniversary, everything crashed and burned over a $1,000 drone-shaped cake. It was supposed to be a double surprise. The cake was an edible model of the first drone I helped design. It even had tiny fondant turbines and wings. I had it custom-made to show my wife and daughter that the work I'd poured myself into all these years, the long hours, the business trips, it was all for them. I wanted something that said this is our family's flight path, cheesy as that sounds. We were at the Grandview Terrace Ballroom in Glendale. I'd rented the place out, arranged everything myself. My wife knew about the party, but not the cake. It came out on a rolling display right as I gave a short toast about love, dedication, and lift versus drag. Then my mother knocked it over. She claimed she didn't see it, that she tripped. But she was nowhere near the stairs. She was right next to the damn table. The drone cake hit the marble floor, shattered wings first. There was frosting and fondant scattered across the tiles like debris from a real crash. And then, as if that wasn't enough, she said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Well, your brother's boys deserve real milestones, not fake parties with toy planes." It was like a slap. My throat closed up. Lily just stared at the mess on the ground, and I saw the confusion in her eyes. Not sadness, confusion. Like she couldn't understand why Grandma would do that. Then my father laughed. Actually laughed. "I guess this is what happens when you never sacrifice for your family," he said. "Always too busy chasing the next award." The words hit me square in the chest. I felt everyone's eyes on me. Some guests chuckled under their breath. Others looked away like they didn't want to get involved. Then Mark, my older brother, walked up, grinning like it was just another Sunday brunch. He handed me a wrapped gift bag. Inside was a torn, dusty children's book from the attic. I opened the back cover. 2 expired tickets to Magic Mountain fell out. "Thought this was more your speed," Mark said. "Sentimental, right?" I didn't speak. I couldn't. That's when I heard the camera clicks. My father had taken a photo of the ruined cake and posted it online, captioned it, "Daniel's big crash again." The laughter that followed was quiet, but it cut like a blade. Not from strangers, but from people I'd paid to feed, host, and entertain. My guests, my own family. I stood there, icing on my shoes, my daughter holding my hand in silence. That was the moment I realized something I'd refused to admit for years. This wasn't a family that loved me. It was a family that tolerated me for what I could give. And tonight, they decided to break the illusion in front of everyone. The ballroom was quiet now. The last of the caterers had packed up. My wife was driving Lily home, her silence somehow louder than anything else that happened that night. I stayed behind, pretending to help clean. But really, I just needed a minute alone. Needed space to figure out how I'd become a joke in my own life. In the kitchen, I sat on a metal stool and took out my phone. I should have been texting the baker to ask for a redo or apologizing to guests for the scene. Instead, I opened my banking app. First thing I did was cancel the $12,000 deposit I'd made for the family safari lodge trip scheduled for Christmas. That trip was my gift to the whole family, my parents, my brother, his kids, fully paid. Custom excursions, private villa, not anymore. I didn't feel angry, just clear. I clicked over to another account, Mark's motorcycle loan. I'd co-signed for it last year after he lost his wallet and job in the same week. The payments were routed through me. I paid them like clockwork every month. Quiet, reliable little brother. I transferred the balance to collections. Let the bank deal with him. Next, I moved to the joint utility account I shared with my parents for their old house in Santa Clarita. I froze it. Then I locked access to the family streaming services, canceled the Wi-Fi extension I'd been secretly paying for, and revoked every auto-pay arrangement tied to my name. It was a strange feeling, realizing just how many things I'd been funding, quietly, automatically, like some kind of walking subscription service. A ding broke the silence. It was my mother. "Mom, Daniel, something's wrong with the lodge tickets. The website says our reservation is gone. Did you cancel something?" I stared at the screen for a second, then typed back, "Me. I'm sure Mark can figure it out. He's the favorite, remember?" I hit send and put the phone face down. In the silence, I looked around the kitchen. Leftover champagne flutes, a platter of untouched shrimp, a ruined evening that I had built with my own 2 hands. I thought about all the birthdays, all the anniversaries, all the times I'd stepped up when nobody asked, because I thought that's what family did. But now I saw it for what it was. I was never appreciated. I was tolerated, mocked behind my back, and tonight, humiliated to my face. This time, I wasn't going to pretend it was okay. This time, I wasn't going to bounce back. This time, I wasn't coming back at all. Over the next few weeks, the silence from me became deafening for them. It started with missed calls, then text messages filled with faux concern. "Mom, We haven't heard from you. Everything okay? Mark, hey man, little issue with the bike loan. Can you check on that? I didn't reply. Every day, another message came in. Sometimes a new excuse. Sometimes just pure manipulation. Mom, we're all really worried about you. Family is everything, Daniel. Family. I watched my brother post Instagram stories from a luxury retreat in Palm Springs. Champagne, rented cabanas, some wellness thing he claimed was job search adjacent. The caption said, investing in my future. Funny, he said the same thing when I covered his laptop replacement. Meanwhile, I got another text from him the next day. Mark, need help with gas. Got a big interview downtown. Can't afford to miss this one. I didn't respond. The group chat stayed active without me. A cousin posted a meme about entitled millennials and tagged me with a laughing emoji. Mark chimed in. Some people just can't take a joke. They thought I was still the same Daniel. Still the one who'd show up after the damage was done. Still the one who'd clean the mess and leave quietly. But I didn't reply. Not once. And my silence made them loud. Mom, I don't know what's gotten into him. Ever since that party. Dad, probably mad about that silly cake. Always was a sensitive one. Mark, he's just trying to prove something. Give it a week. He'll come crawling back. They wanted to believe it was temporary, that I was just pouting. They didn't realize something had shifted, not just in behavior, but in me. Then came the dinner invitation. It arrived in the mail. Not a text, not a call. An actual ivory-colored envelope with gold trim like it was from royalty. Inside was a card. You're invited to Sunday family dinner. Let's clear the air. Love, Mom. I stared at it for a long time. My first instinct was to tear it in half, but then something stopped me. I wasn't going to skip it because I was angry. I was going to go because I wasn't. I wanted to see them clearly, without guilt, without the need to defend myself. I didn't expect an apology or understanding. I just wanted to hear what they said when they thought I was still playing along. I wasn't hoping for anything. Not anymore. I was going to that dinner with eyes wide open, not for reconciliation, for clarity. The moment I walked in the front door, I knew nothing had changed. The dining room smelled like pot roast and garlic bread, and everyone smiled too big, talked too loud, like they were performing happiness instead of living it. Daniel, my mother said, arms outstretched. So glad you made it. She hugged me like a politician would hug a donor. Brief, stiff, cold beneath the surface. Mark appeared behind her with that same smug half-smile he always wore when he thought he had the upper hand. I saved you a seat, he said. I followed him into the dining room. They'd stuck me in the worst chair, right next to the swinging kitchen door, between the trash bin and the wall, like I was one of the help. I didn't argue. I just sat. Plates passed. Conversation flowed. Fake compliments flew like confetti. Daniel, you've lost weight. Must be nice working from home. So much free time. You always were the quiet one, Dad added, sipping his beer. Still shy around real adults? I smiled politely and took a bite of mashed potatoes. Across the table, my brother queued up a video on his phone. Remember this? He said, turning it to show everyone. It was a clip from a birthday party years ago, my old gift to Dad. A DIY slideshow I'd made, complete with corny music and home videos. I had poured weeks into it. Now they were laughing at it like it was an SNL skit. Look at Daniel's tribute video, Mark cackled. Dude, you really tried. Bless his heart, my mom added. He always was the sentimental one. I didn't laugh. Then someone passed around a recent photo, another family portrait, professionally taken at a park. Everyone was in it, except me. Oh, I said, my voice flat. Guess I missed the call sheet. We didn't want to bother you, my mom replied, like that made it better. You've been so distant. Mark leaned back in his chair. You've been acting weird, bro. Like, what's going on? It's just family. I stood up to get some air. No one followed me. Outside, I walked around to the side of the house. The window was open. I didn't mean to eavesdrop again, but I heard my name and froze. Mark's voice. He's still hung up on that cake crap. You believe that? My father. He's always needed a reason to play victim. Then my mother. Don't let him get to you. He'll come around. Just keep calling him selfish until he believes it. A pause. Then laughter. I leaned against the wall, the cool stucco digging into my spine. I wasn't even angry, just done. They didn't want peace. They wanted control. They wanted me compliant, not equal. And now I had proof, words spoken when they thought I couldn't hear. I walked back inside, calm as a man who already knew the ending. They didn't stop me. They didn't ask what was wrong, because they thought they still had time to fix it, to reel me back in. They didn't realize this dinner wasn't a new beginning. It was my confirmation. They were never going to change. 2 weeks later, my father's 60th birthday banquet rolled around. A rented ballroom in Van Nuys, nearly 100 guests, open bar, and custom napkins with gold foil lettering that said, David, 60 years young. I wasn't going to go. But then I remembered what I'd overheard through the window. I remember their plan. Call me selfish, play the victim, wait me out. They thought they could spin it. They didn't know I'd been keeping the receipts. I arrived in a tailored navy suit, crisp shirt, no tie. The kind of look that made people guess I was either rich or angry, maybe both. I walked in carrying a square black gift box, maybe 2 feet wide, tied with a red ribbon. Heads turned. Mark raised his glass like we were friends. My mother smiled from across the room, tight, rehearsed, fake as ever. My father stood at the head of the table. Daniel, he said, voice booming, you made it. We were just about to start the toast. Perfect timing, I replied. The box thudded on the table as I set it down in front of him. What's this? he asked. A gift, I said, for the man who taught me about loyalty. The room chuckled politely. He untied the ribbon, lifted the lid, and froze. Inside were 5 manila folders, neatly labeled with names and totals, a flash drive, a printed transcript, and, resting on top, a glossy photo of the shattered drone cake. What the hell is this? He asked. Documentation, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, of the last 12 years of financial support I've given this family. I turned to face the room. While everyone's toasting loyalty and love tonight, I thought I'd share what that looked like for me. The room went silent. I lifted one folder. This one covers the $42,000 I paid on your mortgage over 8 years. The late fees, the refi penalties. I flipped it open and held it up. Bank statements, autopay records, notarized copies. My mother gasped. Next folder. This one's marks. Motorcycle loan, insurance, credit card bailouts. I paid off 3 separate debts you told me were temporary. Total, $19,000. Mark stood up. Dude, what the hell are you doing? I ignored him. Another folder. Family trip to Breckenridge? That was me. So was Tahoe, Cancun, every hotel, every flight, all under my accounts, all billed to my name. I turned to the last folder. This one's my favorite. I opened it to reveal printouts of the family group chat, screenshots of their jokes, their insults, their private commentary. I compiled it all. Then I pulled the flash drive from the box. This has a voice recording, I said calmly. From 2 weeks ago, dinner at Mom's. Window was open. I looked at my dad. You said I always needed a reason to play the victim. You said to keep calling me selfish until I believed it. Murmurs. Chairs creaking. My father's jaw locked. This is a party, Daniel, my mother said, voice shaking. This isn't the place. No, I asked, because it seems like it was always the place when I was the punchline. Gasps. Someone dropped a fork. I turned to face the entire room. For years, I gave everything I had to this family. Time, money, patience. What I got in return was ridicule. Mark moved toward me, but I held up a hand. One more thing. I reached into my jacket and pulled out an envelope. I sold the house. My mother's mouth dropped open. What? It was in my name, I said. Bought it 5 years ago to keep you out of foreclosure. Title's been transferred. Escrow closes Friday. My sister's boyfriend, who'd always been quiet, stood up, pale as a ghost. You lied about owning the house? He asked my mother. She stammered, couldn't answer. I tucked the empty gift box under my arm and turned toward the door. This isn't revenge, I said. It's clarity. You don't get to rewrite the story now. I left them there, red-faced, rattled, and exposed. And I swear to God, for the first time in my life, no one followed me. It was 4 days after the banquet when I got the message. Unknown number, no name, just a single sentence. You need to check your credit report. Jessica's been busy. At first, I thought it was spam, a prank, but something in my gut told me to look. I logged into my credit monitoring app. My stomach dropped. There it was. A $30,000 personal loan opened 3 months ago through a regional bank in California. My name, my social, my address. But I never applied for any loan. I scrolled through the details. High interest rate, minimal payment history, just a couple installments made before everything went quiet. I clicked the beneficiaries section, which listed the recipient of the funds. Jessica Turner, my cousin, the one who cried on the phone last year when her boyfriend left her with 2 kids and an eviction notice. The one I covered rent for 3 months running. The one who called me the only good one left in the family. I called the bank directly. After 20 minutes on hold, I got transferred to a fraud investigator. They asked me to verify my identity, then read me the application over the phone, employment details, salary, digital signature, attached documents. I didn't recognize any of it, but the signature? It looked close. Too close. Sir, the signature file matches previous bank forms you've submitted in the past, the woman said. I never submitted anything for this loan, I told her. She paused. Well, she said, this loan was processed through our online portal. We have an IP address on file. Can you tell me who collected the funds? Sure. Jessica Turner. She transferred them into a personal account under her name. The initial deposit was done in person at our Glendale branch. Do you have video surveillance? Yes. If we confirm this is fraud, we can release it to the authorities. The room spun for a moment. I held the phone tighter. I hung up, walked to my filing cabinet, and pulled out the original power of attorney I'd signed 5 years ago when I helped Jessica refinance a student loan. A copy of my signature was stapled to the back. She had used it, faked a new one. I stared at it, then looked back at the screen, at the loan with my name. I felt hollow, not shocked, not angry, just done. I thought I had hit bottom when my father mocked me online. I thought I was finished when I pulled the plug on the family finances. But this was theft. This was identity fraud. This was betrayal in its purest form. And the worst part? No one had even tried to warn me, except a stranger. I drove to my parents' house the next evening. No warning, no text, just me, a folder full of evidence, and an anger that had finally gone cold. They were all there when I arrived. My mother and father on the couch. Jessica was at the dining table, her face buried in her phone like this was just another quiet evening in Dysfunction Central. She looked up when I stepped inside. Her smile froze when she saw what I was holding. Daniel, my mother said, voice tight. This isn't a good time. I dropped the folder on the coffee table. Pages spilled out, account statements, screenshots, emails from the bank, a printed copy of the loan agreement with my forged signature circled in red. This won't take long, I said. Jessica, you forged my signature. You took out a $30,000 loan in my name. The silence hit hard, like a vacuum sucked all the sound out of the room. Jessica blinked. I don't know what you're talking about. I held up the bank letter. I have video from the Glendale branch. You withdrew the funds into your personal account. You used my information. You used my name. She stood up. You can't just barge in here accusing me. I'm not accusing. I'm informing. I turned to my parents. She stole from me. That's a felony. You want to talk about family now? My mother looked pale, shaking her head slowly. Jessica, tell me this isn't true. Jessica's mouth opened, closed. She swallowed hard, eyes darting from me to the documents, then to the front door. You've always had so much, she said, her voice small. You wouldn't even have noticed you thought I wouldn't notice $30,000? I snapped. You thought I'd just, what? Pay it off when the collectors came knocking. My father stood up. Let's all calm down now. No, I said, voice firm. You don't get to play referee now. You watched me get humiliated at Lily's party. You laughed when my cake hit the floor. You posted it online. And now you're silent when your niece commits identity theft. Jessica broke. Her knees buckled as she sat back down, face in her hands. I didn't know what else to do, she mumbled. I thought I could pay it back before anyone noticed. I looked at my mother. Still think I'm the problem? She didn't answer. My father sighed, running a hand over his face. We didn't know. Yeah, I said. That's the problem. You never know. You never ask. You just take. Then blame me when it's not enough. I turned to Jessica. I've already filed a report with the bank. The investigator has your name. You'll be hearing from them. Probably the police too. She sobbed, shoulders shaking, but no one moved to comfort her. Not even my mother. I headed for the door. You broke it, I said, hand on the knob. And I'm not fixing it this time. The night outside was cold, but clear. And for the first time, I wasn't leaving with guilt dragging behind me. I was walking away clean. It's been 3 months since that night. 3 months since I walked out of that house and never looked back. I didn't block them. I didn't need to. Their silence was loud enough. Every now and then, I get a text, a voicemail, a photo from a family group chat I forgot to leave. Always the same tone. We didn't mean for it to go that far. Jessica's going through a lot right now. We're still family, Daniel. I deleted every message without reading past the preview. Not out of spite, out of peace. The day I filed the fraud charges, I also sent in a donation, $30,000 to a victims advocacy group for financial exploitation. I sent it in Jessica's name, screenshot the receipt, forwarded it to my mother's email with a single line. At least now something good came out of it. Never got a reply. Didn't need one. Things have been different since then. Quieter, lighter. My consulting firm finally took off. Clients I had put off for years came back around. I started saying yes to things I'd always skipped. A weekend trip to Big Bear, a hike in Angeles Crest, dinner with coworkers I used to dodge. I hadn't realized how much of my life was stuck in a loop of obligation until the pattern snapped. At home, things were better too. Simpler. Lily turned 11 last month. No gala, no drone cakes. Just us, balloons, pizza, a movie night on the couch. She wore pajamas with little astronaut dogs on them and made a fort out of old blankets and kitchen chairs. After she opened her gifts, she showed me something she'd drawn. A crayon sketch. 2 stick figures standing side by side. A girl with a braid and a man with glasses holding a wrench in one hand and a book in the other. Is that us? I asked, trying not to smile too big. Yeah, she said. You and me. I looked at the top of the drawing. She'd written in blocky, uneven handwriting. My crew forever. Something tightened in my chest. But it wasn't pain. It was peace. She climbed into my lap, the blanket still around her shoulders like a cape. Are you happy now, Dad? She asked, voice small. I looked around the room, at the string lights taped to the wall, the paper stars she made at school, the empty cake box on the counter, and her, sitting there with her head against my shoulder. Yeah, I said. I think I finally am. No noise. No guilt. No family dragging me down in the name of tradition. Just the two of us, flying straight this time. And no one's holding the controls but me.